Hey everyone, it's Tom from GMed, and today I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about dates, upcoming dates in 2025 and who is impacted by them. This video is aimed primarily at IVD manufacturers, so that's manufacturers with a product on the market or manufacturers who plan on placing a product on the EU market in the next while. The sources I used are the IVDR, mainly around Article 110 or 113, the implementing regulation from last year, that's 2024/1860, and the EU Commission questions and answers document that supports that. I'll put the links for all of these at the bottom of the video. And so let's get into it. Okay, starting with the 26th of May 2025. There's a lot going on here. I will start with Class Ds and I will work my way down through a list. Hopefully this makes sense. Starting with Class D products. If your product was certified under the directive or self-declared under the directive and is now a Class D product under the regulation, well, this is the date that you need to make an application to a notified body. If you're unsure if your product is a Class D, I would recommend having a conversation with a notified body or put a question underneath and I will try and get back to you. Next up would be any manufacturer that holds a valid cert under the directive. So an Annex 2, List A, List B, or a self-test with a valid cert. This is also the date that you need to have an application made with a notified body. And again, if you're unsure if you hold a valid cert, and that is a big question, I would recommend you reach out to your notified body, or again, you can always ask a question in the comments underneath. Next up, number 3 in this list is irrespective of classification of device, so any of the classes A, B, C, or D. If you plan on placing product on the EU market at any point, you need to hold a valid QMS under the regulation, and the 26th of May is the date that that comes into effect. And last up on this list for the 26th of May is manufacturers of Class B and C product. This is the date that the UDI labelling requirements come into effect. And that's it for the 26th of May, and up next is the 26th of September 2025. Okay, so the list for September is definitely shorter than the list I've just gone through for May, but there's still a couple of areas I'd like to focus on. The first one is, I'm hoping, is quite straightforward. It's every time I mention the manufacturer needing to have a formal application made with a notified body. Well, the 26th of September is the date that those formal applications need to transfer to written agreements. That's it. And the second part for September 2025 that I'd like to speak on is in terms of transfer of notified body and appropriate surveillance. So the Q&A document, I think around question 7, there's a couple of questions within question 7, describes how you can transfer your application from one notified body to another. And again, I think that's quite straightforward as well. But where I'd like to call out specifically is in terms of appropriate surveillance. Appropriate surveillance for legacy devices. So you are a manufacturer and you have a notified body under the directive, and you have a notified body new notified body for your IVDR application. Who is responsible for appropriate surveillance, and when does the appropriate surveillance switch from one notified body to the other? I'll try and keep this as straightforward as possible, and if you have any questions, please reach out. So up until the 26th of September 2025, the IVD directive notified body has responsibility for appropriate surveillance, and after the 26th of September 2025, the IVDR notified body has responsibility for appropriate surveillance, unless the manufacturer and the two notified bodies come to an agreement that the notified body under the regulation will take responsibility for appropriate surveillance earlier, and the notified body under the directive needs to work to ensure a smooth transition as possible for appropriate surveillance. So again, that's a little bit more complex than the other things I've spoken about, but if you have questions, please reach out. And that's it. That's it for May 2025 and September 2025. I hope the video has been clear. I hope it's been accurate. I'm sure if I haven't been clear or accurate, people will reach out. I hope that you do. And again, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments, or you can always send me a message. Thanks for listening, and I hope to do a few more of these videos over the next few months.